Hi guys, it's Carissa. I am starting my meds tonight for my second IVF, and our first cycle was not covered at all by insurance, so everything was out of pocket. But even though that's still the case this time, I did save some money on my medications, and I'll tell you about that a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of rhyme or reason to everything that's here, and I know I'm going to be giving you a lot of information, but I just think that it's kind of interesting and informative for some people to see what kind of things that you might be able to expect. So bear with me while I try and do this in a somewhat organized fashion. I am going to talk about pricing. However, I know that that varies from state to state and pharmacy to pharmacy. The one that we use is Freedom Pharmacy. It is out of Massachusetts, and it is a mail order pharmacy. First and foremost, I took a birth control pill for 7 days, and yesterday was my last one. I'm going to just hold on to these. These are the Ocella birth control. I think that this is a generic for Yaz, unless it's the other way around. I'm not sure. But this is normally $75. Last time, because of the way they billed it, I had to pay $75 for these pills. I was taking all 3 rows of active pills then. This time I was only taking the one to push things back by a week. But I didn't have to pay for these. This was $0. Somehow this was covered this time. I have since gotten new insurance, so maybe that has something to do with it, but this new insurance doesn't cover IVF treatments either, so I don't know how that worked out. By the way, the birth control pills I just showed you, as well as the next 3 or 4 medications I have here, are from my local pharmacy at my grocery store. So I picked those up there because that's just how they ordered them. I don't know if it's because Freedom doesn't carry these, or I don't know what their specific reason is for that, but that's just so you know. So next I have doxycycline. This I've taken for the last 2 or 3 cycles that I've done. This is an antibiotic. Next I have dexamethasone. This is, from what I understand, a steroid that is an anti-inflammatory. This is Cleocin. These are 3 vaginal suppositories that are done for 3 consecutive nights. I don't remember if they said after the retrieval or after the transfer. I can't remember, but I'm sure I will get further instruction. They look like this. And there's one applicator like this, and you probably just stick them in here and push the plunger. Simple enough. This is my first time using this and the steroid. Now for these medications, I picked them all up at once. The doxycycline was like $4 or $5, and the dexamethasone was $4 or $5. So these came to $9. One was $4, one was $5. The birth control was free. And then this was $70 for the 3 ovules, and it was not covered by insurance, and they were kind of shocked. You know, they're like, oh, are you aware of the cost of this? And the pharmacy was really good about making sure that they told me about the price of this before I picked it up, but I was actually expecting to spend that much on the birth control alone, so it was a welcome, it was actually kind of a welcome thing, because it was like half the cost of what I was expecting. But I did save some money on some of this, and there are a few ways that that happened. I don't know that this would necessarily apply to everyone, but one thing that I can say is that I was offered something called a compassionate care credit. It's something that you have to be eligible for. I think you have to make over $40,000 a year and under $100,000. I could be wrong on those numbers, but I did some research before we applied. And there's a very small income window where you are able to be approved for this medication. You basically can't make too little money, but you can't make too much either. And then they will give you a certain percentage off of certain medications. In my case, it was the gonal-f because it's through an EMD Serono program, and that is the manufacturer of gonal-f. And gonal-f pens are $880 a piece for 900 units. So I purchased them at $440 each, which is an amazing discount but I need at least 4 of them for this cycle. So I have 2 of them that are left over that were not used from IUIs that I did, and they are covered for IUIs. So I paid a very small copay, like $30 or $40 a piece for those, and those are in my fridge unopened and ready to be used. I will very likely have to purchase at least 2 more pens, but I decided not to do that yet because I won't need them for at least a few days. So I figured I'd give myself some time to kind of gear up for that and replenish some funds after these drugs that I ordered. The other thing that saved me some money is that I still have estradiol from previous cycles. One of them was, I don't know if this is the same. I don't know if I can just combine these and keep them in the same container. You know what? They look identical. But just to be safe, I'll keep them separate. These I got from my drugstore or my grocery store pharmacy, and these are from Freedom. This says estradiol 2 milligram tablet, but it says take twice a day as directed by mouth, and these are vaginal. So I don't know if it's the same thing or not, but I have quite a few more of these than I do of the other ones. And they didn't specify, but they asked me if I needed more. I said, no, I have some at home, and this hopefully saved me money because I do remember it being awfully pricey last time. I think it was like $200 or something just for one of these. I don't remember which one. Another thing that saved me money was Cronone. I have had to order Cronone gel for several of the cycles that I've done for IVF and for IUIs. And it is a progesterone gel that comes in an individual packet like this. And all you do is you kind of feel in the packet for like a large rectangle shape. And I would tap it like this to get the product into the bottom. And let me show you. You just remove the bottom, you just twist it off, insert it vaginally, and then squeeze this rectangle, and it dispenses the product. I had some of these left over. These are normally $17.60 a piece, and you can order them individually. You don't have to have a minimum number of them. So in previous cycles, just for example, I would count to how many days until my blood test and make sure I had at least enough to get me to there. And then I would make sure I had a few more for a few days after that in case I had to continue taking it if I had a positive test, which has never happened. But I have been lucky because it saved me money. Normally they want you to have a lot of these on hand, and sometimes they'll order more for you than what you'll actually need. So instead of paying for 30 of them, for example, I would pay for enough to make sure that I have like 15 or 16 of them to get me to my blood test. I almost always ended up with some left over too. So I counted that out and again made sure that I had enough and had extra. And because a blood test is usually after 10 days, I believe, instead of 12 or 14 for an IUI with an IVF, I have more than enough now. But there's a program that I didn't know about through Freedom Pharmacy where if you have previously ordered medication at full price, they give you some kind of an arbitrary discount on certain medications the next time you order them. I don't know if this means forever, never, amen. I get these discounts if I have to keep ordering them or if it's just a one-time thing. I don't know. But instead of $17.60 a piece, I paid $16.20 a piece for these. And the ones that I received are a little bit different. It looks like it's a different applicator. This package, this new package is kind of shiny and glossy, and these were a like a paper packaging with a foil lining. And these felt like they had two pieces of plastic in them. So I checked, and this is a pre-filled applicator with a plunger that you put in, and I think I'll actually get more of the product in this way. Okay, I am on a protocol called a Lupron flare, or just a flare protocol. I've done some research on it, and it looks like it is normally done on women with low egg reserve, and I technically don't really have low egg reserve, but I don't respond very well to a typical protocol. So I'm going to be doing Lupron and Gonal at the same time. That meant I had to get a Lupron 2-week kit. That comes with the actual medication and then some syringes, little tiny ones like insulin syringes, and alcohol wipes. I do have the Lupron in the fridge right now. I'm just storing it there. And this was $99. It's normally $149, but I got that discount for having ordered medications before. I'm really bad at math, so if somehow you've noticed that there's some kind of percentage that I'm obviously missing, I don't notice it. I was just grateful for the discount. And you know what's weird about this? So it says Leuprolide. Leuprolide. And every time I look at this box, I get that song in my head, but I go, here we go, loop-de-loo. Here we go, Leuprolide. Every time. Okay, then I also ordered HCG, which is my trigger shot. It is $85.90 for this without insurance, and I didn't get any kind of discount on this, but it is the like double vial where it's the medical water and the powder, and then you mix them. And that also came with these syringes. I got 2 of these the big long creepy ones. It also sent me a sharps container and extra gauze. And this is all of my accumulated extra gauze and alcohol wipes from previous cycles. I did need another sharps container. Oh, there's even extra syringes in here. I did need a new sharps container, but not extra gauze and alcohol wipes, but it just all comes together. So the guy was like, I'm sorry, I have to send it. I was like, don't apologize. That's the last thing you need to apologize about. I also purchased the intralipids, which is an IV of basically omega-3 fatty acids, which is in the form of soybean oil. And I will be having that put in the day of my retrieval. So it was sent from the pharmacy that I purchased it at. It's a pharmacy out of Chicago. And they said just because they want to keep it at a certain temperature, they'd rather have it stored at the doctor's office, which is totally fine. It just has to be at room temperature from what I understand. But they had it sent on like a heated truck or something because it's been cold out. They were like, well, because it's been cold, we don't want to send it to your house. They sent it to my doctor's office, and then I will have to pick that up at some point. They said you can take it whenever, and then make sure that I bring it to my retrieval to have it put in. I don't know if that means I have to get there early or if I stay later or whatever the case is, but that was not covered by insurance, and that was $80. If I am fortunate enough to become pregnant, I will have to repeat that process once a month until 24 weeks. So that's just an expense that I can anticipate, and that's one that I hope I have to take on. So tonight I start the Doxy, the dexamethasone. I also am going to take 5 units of Lupron and 300 units of Gonal. I have a little tiny, like a mini fridge that we painted turquoise and my friends used when they lived with us, and I might actually bring it upstairs. Mike offered to put it upstairs in my room here for me because I know that you're like, how could you possibly do that? But sometimes I would forget. I would go to bed, I'd get all cozy, or like say I wanted to go to bed earlier and just kind of lounge around and read or something, and then it's time to take my meds and I have to go all the way downstairs and I'm all cold and grumpy about it. So Mike offered to put it in my room up here for me so that I can do it in the bathroom here. That might be nice. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do that, but I'm going to get everything started today. And tomorrow, we have made what I consider to be the only decision, the only right decision. It's just a huge inconvenience, and it just feels like, oh, it's just another one of those things. And it is 99.8%, 100% unnecessary. I just said that. Did you hear that? Ugh. I feel like a fool, but I'd feel worse if I didn't do it. So because Mike is going to be out of town during my last STEM week and possibly could miss the retrieval, say I'm ready early, or say his flight gets canceled or there's complications for him getting home by some chance, we would really kick ourselves if we didn't have sperm frozen and ready to use for the retrieval. Of course, it is not the ideal situation. They have definitely told us they prefer not to do it that way, but they can't do it at all if we don't freeze some sperm. So he is leaving very soon, and we only have tomorrow. And I guess I should look at it this way, and this is kind of how I do feel about it. How fortunate are we that we can go tomorrow? It's relatively inexpensive. It is $150 to store it, and then after the first year, they charge us for $300 after that point. So if we don't need it, I can just call and be like, hey, toss that, and then it's not a problem anymore. But we just drive out there. It's a little over 2 hours, so we're going to spend all day in the car. But how great is it that that's an option? And all of this that I just purchased and all this money that we had to spend and all this prep that we've done would be for nothing if there were any issue. So as much of a bummer as it feels like it is to have to spend the money and pay for the gas and spend all day in the car and just all of that, we're doing this, and this is awesome. And what if this is everything that we need to have happen to lead up to just happily ever after? So today I just kept weighing the odds, and I called them, and they said, you know, we could show up anytime. They're expecting us anytime after 11, because I was like, ugh, we don't want to get up early or anything, but you know, we'll try and just make a nice day of it. Some of my fondest memories are of road trips in the car with Mike anyway, so and then whenever the egg retrieval happens to be, this is with them assuming that I'll stim for 12 days. I'm going to guess, because I very, very rarely, well, it hopefully will be different for this protocol, but I very rarely stim for 12 days. I almost always, with any injectable cycle, I needed extra time to kind of urge things on more. That probably won't even be an issue. Like, he'll probably have been home for 2 or 3 days by the time my retrieval actually happens. But this way, we're covered. And how stupid would we feel if we didn't just do this and prepare ourselves? It just seems like you have to. So that is another thing that we're adding to our plans for this cycle. And I think that's all of it. I think I've covered everything, with the exception of the fact that I will have to buy more gonal. But again, I don't know either. I don't know. They can overnight it to me. So as I'm going, what if I'm on 300 units right now? What if they want to drop that way back down? You know, what if I respond really well and I don't need to spend that money? So I'm just trying to be smart about it. I'm trying to not be stressed or not be worried, and I feel really good. I feel so much more confident this cycle because of all of the extra stuff that we're doing, all of the extra precautions we're taking with medications, and I feel really good about it. So if you have any questions for me, or if I said anything that was confusing, please let me know. But otherwise, I'll get this video up as soon as possible for you, and I thank you so much for all of your support. I love you guys. Bye.